believe it in their mental minds, I do not care. But they are not seriously trying to be serious to the books. The only ones that did that, I find, are number one, Jeremy Brett, at least for the characterization. And number two, it's hard to pull who is number two and number three. It was Peter Cushing, and then only one TV film that people do not like. It is actually one of the best adaptations ever, called Sherlock Holmes in the Case of the Six, talking with Rupert Everett, starring in as Sherlock Holmes, and in art I was talking about as Watson. So, and these are the only seriously serious adaptations, trying to be a minimum faithful to the books. To be honest, in terms of simply the characterization of Sherlock Holmes himself, obviously he is by far the most faithful. Secondly, Peter Cushing got right some things Rupert Everett got wrong, and vice versa. So I would put both of them on the same grade. Except that Peter Cushing looks way more like the description of the book, although he's far from still. Out of the three, he's the one who looks the most like the book. Not only the absolute one who looks the most like the book physically is Matt Frewer, but the adaptation and characterization of Sherlock Holmes were not faithful. Even Sherlock Holmes himself. But the phenotype was the only one that actually looked like him. But then Peter Cushing looks way more still than Jeremy Brett and Rupert Everett, who bound by look like each other, Jeremy Brett and Rupert Everett, but they don't look like the book at all, physically. Now, in terms of the whole world they created, which one is the most faithful to the books? One obviously has to take historical accuracy into context, because this is not a fantasy. Sherlock Holmes tells fiction, but it is set in real places, real London, real villages, in a real time period. So, saying, for example, they have dirty swords, it's okay, because in the book it does not describe whether the swords are dirty or clean, and in the series they're too clean. It was not like that back then. And somebody is saying this is fine because in the books it did not precise how clean were the swords. Yes, but we know it's set in a real time period and it is trying to be very realistic, except for some few things about like Sherlock Holmes being superhuman in strength. But never mind. So you having clean garments for when they were supposed to be dirty is an inaccuracy, even for the books. So I would say that the advantage that old television series has is because it was cheaply made, and back in the 60s, the quality, the film quality, especially when filmed indoors, was quite blurry compared to that, and this is even still blurrier than the more recent 2004 Rupert Everett one. So it is harder to judge defects also, but still I can judge. For the following, I will start judging now. I will start with an episode called The Stud in Scarlet. One of the only that adapted The Stud in Scarlet. And so, honestly, I know by principle that these garments are not original, at least for 90% of them, and I know that by principle they would have made them for the television series. In fact, it gives the name of the lady, the costume designer. And so I know that to save cost, they would not have hand-sewn them like Sherlock Holmes probably would have had hand-sewn garments. But that cannot show, or at least I can't see it because I'm not a scholar, and the video quality is quite bad. So now in the BBC back then, they would film with video indoors and Technicolor film outdoors. And the Technicolor film is a higher quality, and so maybe a professional scholar like Jack Pinsent or whomever might be able to say on the Technicolor scenes, which are set actually outside when they're generally filmed it outdoors, and not that some cheap plastic set pretending to be outdoors, he might be able to say, oh, well, this outside finishing sewing is actually machine done, it would never have been machine done, but I'm not of that level. But it would not surprise me that for the finishing, the visible stitches, at least upon the garments worn by Holmes, the men characters, they might have been hand finished. Especially since Peter Cushing was insistent. He had an argument with them. He told them they wanted him to wear different clothing from the book. And he told them, I will only do the series if I can wear what is in the book. And so actually, in terms of clothing, for Sherlock Holmes himself, it was more accurate than Jeremy Brett. First, I will judge the extras. So, and the Stud in Scarlet, you can find all these episodes on YouTube. It is very easy. at first we have the bad guys, I'm spoiling it for you, but I do not care. So, Drebber and, I forgot his name. And honestly, they look accurate. They look accurate because, again, in that film quality, today they will look inaccurate. Today I would be able to say, nah, the thing are way too ironed, way too clean. But because of the video quality of the time, I can't actually tell if it is too ironed or too clean or whatever. It's impossible to tell. I guess it is, because I know how television functions, but maybe, I don't want to say something like, by 90% it is, but I cannot actually see it, but I'm saying it is. What matters really, I'm not saying, because if one goes like that, then everything is inaccurate, because I know for sure they will not make everything 100% like it was back then. They'll not even make a single thing 100% like it would have been done. But what matters is actually for Gangs of New York is the overall result. How does it show on the film? If the video quality it was crap back then, especially for a budget that was very low, and it does not show defects, and so it shows a believable, it shows it how it would have been back then where I had to go back. Although if I were to have seen that, if I were to go back with a time machine in the 60s and see them filming it, I would be able to tell. It was not really like that. It does not show on the film. So that counts as 100% accurate. Because we're judging movies and we have to be a bit lenient with them. And obviously back then it was easier because they were not using HD like they are today. So obviously things that would matter here would be more the cuts and finishing touches like the shape of the lapels, how the buttons are, and things like that. And the colors, obviously, and what type of garments are worn by what type of people. This, they cannot trick on that, especially since it is still filmed in color. So, and to have a lot of close-ups. So if it does not look accurate, basically what I mean is if he's wearing a modern undershirt that nobody can see, I do not care, because it does not show on the film. But the illusion has to be there. If it is not there, then it counts as inaccuracy. And because of the video quality, the illusion really, I can believe that this is I'm actually seeing something filmed in the past. Filmed in the 1890s, I mean, this is the problem. The original story was published in 1887, but it was set in 1881. But they did not give a precise year date, so we do not know in the film when it is supposed to be set. If it is meant, I would go with 1881. I would go with the 90s, I think, because it seems to me they were trying to represent more the 1890s, but it is not precise. Honestly, if this is supposed to be 1881, then it looks too modern. It looks like a decade later. For many things, right now I cannot really analyze. I need to think why, but I know it looks too modern. I can just tell it looks too modern. Yeah, like its colors are too high.
Where's your room? Down the hall.
Yeah, basically, if they're trying to do early, like from 1900 to 1905, 10 max, these two characters in the first scene, I want to say, again with the video quality, they look perfect. They look bloody accurate. But for 1881, I have to analyze. I'm not a teller, so it is hard to judge cuts, but first of all I can tell the colors are, the shape is right, but they're still wrong, because the colors are too stiff. As I was talking about, they were not making colors that stiff, except if they were made out, when they were made out of plastic, cardboard and all. I know these are not, because I will judge undergarments first, shirts first, and then move towards. There are very few characters that the television series, and like the Jeremy Beck one, was very cheap. BBC had no money back then, so this is easy for me to judge. I can actually judge every character because they practically have no extras. So it's much easier to judge. Instead of making an overall review, I can actually just go to each character and make a basic review, or even an in-depth one. Unlike with the movie Gangs of New York, which is just impossible with the sheer amount of characters and costumes. So now I'm judging Drebber. And Drebber is the bad guy who gets killed in the beginning. He wears a grey suit. The collar is perfect. I mean, the collar is nothing wrong with the thigh of the collar. So at one point, when Jeffrey or the chap revenging the woman I forgot his name. When he goes to kill him, in the end, it shows that scene, which happens in the beginning, but never mind.